Hey everybody, Steve here. This time I'm in Terre Haute, Indiana at the Vorhees Skatepark, which is what you see behind me. This skate park was built in 2008 by California Skate Parks, and it was added on to maybe 3 or 4 years ago with some pump track elements that were all concrete kind of surrounding it. Originally, this skate park was intended to be built in phases, and they built the first phase and then abandoned the project, with the exception of the pump track addition, because they decided it would be better to build a second skate park at Sheridan Park, which is on the northern side of Terre Haute. So this particular skate park as it stands today is kind of a relic of the past, almost 20 years old now, and the aggregate in the concrete is definitely starting to poke through, so it doesn't ride as smoothly as it did when it was first built. And when it was first built, I should say, it was the second biggest skate park in Indiana behind Major Taylor in Indianapolis. So this park has been a staple of Western Indiana skateboarding for a long time. It doesn't get as much use now because of the age, and you will definitely see how the design elements reflect the time period in which it was built. But with that said, I'll take you through the park and you can see what it's all about. So I'm going to start on the southern end of the park and give you a little bit of an overview first. What I'm standing on top of right now is the pump track addition, and that wraps around the entire park and kind of weaves all the way up to the back. And you'll see that throughout this skate park tour. But right in front of me is the original part of the park, which was this like 3/4 bowl that's about 3 feet tall. This definitely has a steep transition to it, and it definitely reflects the time period it was built. I think what you see these days is a much more mellow approach to quarter pipes and bowls and stuff like that. But at the time, this was kind of normal for what you might expect to find at a park. And so this coping on it is a 3-inch radius steel tubing, wraps around the entire edge of it, and gives you a nice place to start, drop in, and start hitting some of the street obstacles. Next, you've got this like pyramid area with a bump to bar. The bump to bar itself is about 14 inches off the top of this ramp. The ramp itself is probably 2 feet tall or so. So it kicks you up nicely, especially if you drop in from the quarter in the little mini bowl area. And this flat bar itself is about 6 feet long. So not super long, but it definitely extends just over the edges of the top of this pyramid, and that makes it really nice for step-up slides and grinds. It's not very wide on top, only about 2 inches wide, but again, it's in good shape, not dented or anything like that, so it still skates really well. And then that transitions into kind of a step-up like ledge Euro gap, and this box that you see in front of me is about 8 feet long, 4 feet wide or so, and about a foot off the ground. So it does skate like a nice Euro gap, as well as a bump to ledge, bump to manual, whatever you want to do. Before I move on to the back of the park, I just wanted to show kind of how the pump track is developed. So you see how it wraps around the back, goes through several roller sections in order to get to this point. Typically you're going to hit it going that way instead of coming this way, but definitely a good way of just getting speed. Now you've got this out ledge as well. This thing is about 3 feet tall. Now I wouldn't say 3 feet, maybe 2.5 feet tall on the very end of it, and about 8 inches to get onto. Coping on both sides. So in good shape, nice flat to set up for it, but it skates more like a manual pad, but still very accessible if you want to do grinds on the out ledge or slides or things like that. Might just need a little bit of wax to get it going again. As we get towards the top, there's a semi-large bowl area that's comprised of about 4 to 6 foot height quarter pipes throughout it. First thing you see in front of me is this like spine that's like a 2 foot tall quarter on one side, about a 5 foot tall quarter on the other, with about a foot of space on top. Next to it is like a roll-in area, and then you've got this big flat bank as well with some coping on top. Now this bank is about 7 or 8 feet tall when you're standing on the flat bottom, and I'll show you that in a second. But you do have plenty of space to drop in and set up for it if you want to do tricks on the bank or what have you. Now you'll see what looks like a box here, but on the other side of it is actually a flat bank. And so that is a Euro gap on one side. So you're probably not skating it off into the bank, but you're coming the other way. So this isn't the greatest positioned box in terms of skating it like a ledge, but it is like a big manual pad area if you're skating it like the Eurogap. So this thing is about 1 foot tall and plenty of room on top. It's probably like 8 feet long that way and then maybe 20 feet long or so going that way. So nice and big, plenty of space, gives you all kinds of options for things you might want to do. And then we get into like that embankment area where you can roll into it, but there's also this like vert quarter thing in here as well that's about 6 feet tall. Really tight transition on one side of it, and then on the other side you got a 2 foot quarter with like squared off coping that basically skates like a jersey barrier. So if you like skating jersey barriers, this might feel familiar to you. If not, it's probably not an obstacle you're trying to hit. I went past a couple other pump track sections. This is probably where you get the most kind of up and down pumping before you get towards the front of the skate park. So as you can see, several like rollers to get over, things that you can fly over and that sort of thing. Nice setup, especially if you're like into BMX or something like that. And it all starts with this particular section. I should say that most of those rollers that you're pumping are only about 2 feet tall or so. So everything is super mellow in comparison to maybe some of the bigger pump tracks that I've already covered, like the one in Kokomo. But needless to say, it's kind of a nice addition to have, especially as pump tracks have become more popular for a lot of skaters. At this particular skate park, we do have this 90-degree sea ledge. This thing is about 14 inches tall or so, has square coping on the edge of it. It does have a little bit of denting over time that's happened over time, but still slides and grinds really well and is a nice feature if you like that type of thing. You can set up nicely for it in either direction. You've got plenty of space. So it's a good obstacle all in all. Despite the age, still looks and skates really well. Then we've got like a little like pole jam style thing. I think they just had some extra tubing and maybe they just set it down into the ground, but you've got that if you like little pole jam ride-ons. It's like a gas station kind of protective barrier. And then you get into the other parts of the bowl where you see I'm standing in front of like a hip that's on above a 4 foot quarter. It transitions up into a 5 foot quarter, kind of wraps around. Then you've got that like 5.5 foot spine with a little like camel hump next to it as well. Another hip and just general areas to carve around. So pretty standard style bowl. Not much in the way of like interesting kind of flowy elements to it. Kind of your classic bowl setup that you would find at just about any skate park if that's what you like skating. Is on the taller side. I think people tend to prefer smaller bowls these days, but needless to say, it's there and is still skates really smoothly and rides really well. Now I'm down at the bottom of the bowl just to give you kind of an idea of how those transitions are. I'm standing, in front of me is about a 5.5 foot quarter pipes all the way around. You know, you see that double barrel spine, another hump to pump over, and it kind of transitions down into a lower section that's about 4 feet before it turns into a flat bank. So just kind of, again, standard style bowl. Nothing particularly special about it. Does have a lot of open space, but if you've got big soft wheels and like skating bowls, still in really good shape. You don't have to worry about getting smoked. There's no big cracks on it or anything like that. Probably could just use maybe a seal coat or something like that to make it smoother. Okay, so that does it for the Vorhees Skate Park in Terre Haute, Indiana. Hope you found this skate park tour interesting, enjoyable, what have you. And if you're in the Terre Haute area, and maybe you want to stop by and check this out, get a couple laps on the pump track, skate the bowl, do some tricks up the Euro, whatever suits you. I like this park. It's a nice feature, and I definitely hope that it gets used in years to come. Anyway, if you have any questions about the park, just drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next skate park tour video.